They did not know she was still awake, and that was the only reason she heard it. Through the thin crack of the bedroom door, Naomi Keller caught the whisper sliding into the hallway. "Tomorrow we'll move her," the woman said calmly, as if discussing groceries, not a 78-year-old mother. Naomi sat frozen on the edge of the bed, hands pressed to her thighs, breathing shallowly. Her suitcase rested half-packed beneath the window. She had folded clothes after dinner without knowing why. Something in the air had warned her. Now she understood exactly what that feeling meant. 2 months earlier, Naomi had moved into her son Lucas's house after hip surgery made her cottage difficult to manage. "You'll be safer here, Mom," Lucas had said gently. "We'll take care of everything." She believed him. She sold her cottage and transferred the money to his account when he said he would invest it wisely. Naomi never questioned him. She did not want to seem suspicious or ungrateful. Mothers trusted. That was what they did. She believed love meant sacrifice. But as she sat in the dark now, she realized love was not promises. Love lived in patience, tone, and small kindnesses. That evening, Naomi had eaten dinner alone in the kitchen. Claire said she and Lucas were stepping out briefly and left leftovers in plastic containers. Naomi did not complain. What lingered was the way Claire glanced at her watch when Naomi asked, "How was your day?" The question felt like an inconvenience. When they returned home, Naomi stayed in her room until she heard footsteps upstairs. Later, as she prepared for bed, the whisper returned. "She's getting slower," Claire said. "And she keeps asking about money." Lucas said nothing. Silence answered instead, sharp and final. Naomi stood motionless long after their bedroom door closed. The silence hurt more than the words. She locked her door, pulled the suitcase from beneath the bed, and began packing carefully. She did not cry. She had learned restraint long ago. Her hands trembled as she folded a blue cardigan Lucas once said made her look old. She packed her passport, medical records, and an envelope she was never meant to see. The clock read 12:43 a.m. Naomi had no destination. Only one certainty guided her now. She needed to leave before whispers turned into action. Outside, the neighborhood gleamed with perfection. Identical houses, clean sidewalks, cars without dust. Naomi felt like an intruder. She opened the front door silently, shoes in one hand, suitcase in the other. She did not leave a note. What could she write? Gratitude felt dishonest. At the end of the walkway, she paused and looked back at the house where her son lived, where her name no longer belonged at the table. The suitcase felt heavier with every step, filled not with clothes but with shame. She turned away and walked toward the street, alone. The bus stop sat 2 blocks away beneath a flickering streetlight. Naomi walked barefoot, the pavement cool against her feet. Silence wrapped around her like fabric. When a motion sensor activated nearby, flooding her in white light, she froze, suddenly visible. For a moment she considered turning back, knocking, saying she misunderstood. But she had not misunderstood. "Tomorrow we'll move her." Claire's voice had been steady. Lucas had not objected. Not even softly. Naomi sat on the metal bench and checked the schedule. 12 minutes until the last bus. She waited, heart steady, resolve hardening. As she waited, Naomi remembered the envelope she had discovered a week earlier while searching for batteries. It had been thick, white, and addressed to her with typed precision. Inside were copies of documents she did not recognize at first. Power of attorney she never signed. Bank transfers she never approved. Her signature appeared at the bottom, close enough to pass. She returned the envelope quietly, pretending nothing was wrong. That night, she stared at the ceiling, replaying memories. Lucas insisting on handling finances. Claire organizing medications. The whisper tonight was not a beginning. It was an ending. The bus arrived with a hiss of air. Naomi climbed aboard, pulling her suitcase behind her. The driver glanced briefly. "Where to?" he asked. "Downtown," she replied. "Near the old library." He nodded. "Late night." Naomi did not answer. She watched empty streets blur past the window. Streetlights flickered rhythmically, each one marking a truth she could no longer ignore. They forged documents. They wanted control. They wanted her gone. 20 minutes later, she stepped off into a part of town she barely recognized. The old hotel was gone, replaced by glass and light. She wandered until she found a small motor lodge. The clerk barely looked up when Naomi asked for a room. "One night," Naomi said quietly. The room smelled of bleach and age. She locked the door and set her suitcase down. Only then did she exhale fully. Sitting on the bed, she checked her phone. No missed calls. No messages. Course not. Either they had not noticed yet, or they had chosen not to ask. The truth settled heavily. She was no longer a mother in that house. She had become an account, a burden, a problem to be solved. Naomi lay back fully dressed, exhaustion washing over her. Sleep came in fragments. The refrigerator hummed like a distant train. Naomi replayed everything. Claire's whisper. Lucas's silence. Envelope. She remembered small changes she once dismissed. Her favorite chair moved aside. Her mug replaced. The pantry rearranged. "It's more efficient," Claire always said. Lucas insisted it was for her comfort. But it felt like management, not care. Before dawn, Naomi rose and boiled water in the rusty kettle. The tea tasted metallic, but she welcomed the warmth. This quiet felt different. No correction. No judgment. Just stillness. She opened the suitcase and stared at the envelope again. Inside the envelope were 3 documents. The first was a general power of attorney granting Lucas full control over finances, property, and medical decisions. It was notarized, signed in her name. Naomi studied the signature closely. The curve was wrong, the slant forced. The second document listed transfers from her cottage sale account. $180,000 gone in 4 months. Not a single call asking if she needed anything. The third paper froze her breath. An assisted living application. Her name typed neatly at the top. One line was bolded. Patient shows early signs of cognitive decline. Naomi remembered Claire smiling when she misplaced her keys. Naomi folded the documents carefully. Shock faded into clarity. She did not want revenge. She wanted herself back. At 8 o'clock she called a taxi. "Fairmont Bank downtown," she told the driver. He nodded without questions. The building felt familiar. Lucas used to guide her through paperwork there. "I'll explain," he always said. Naomi approached the front desk. The woman's badge read Marcy. "I'd like to see a manager," Naomi said evenly. "It's about power of attorney and unauthorized access." Marcy's smile faltered, and she disappeared down the hall. Minutes later, a man in a gray suit appeared. "Mrs. Keller," he said gently. "I'm David. Let's talk." Inside David's office, Naomi handed over the envelope without explanation. He reviewed each page slowly. After a long pause, he looked up. "Did you sign this power of attorney? No. Did you authorize these transfers? No. Who accessed your accounts?" Naomi swallowed. "My son, Lucas Keller." David exhaled quietly. "This is serious," he said. "Forgery and financial exploitation." Naomi nodded. "I'm not here to press charges," she said. "Not yet. I want everything stopped." David leaned forward. "You want to revoke the power of attorney and freeze access?" "Yes," Naomi replied. "Today." They worked for over an hour. Counts were frozen. Automatic payments cancelled. Remaining funds moved into a new account under Naomi's sole control. "We'll help you set secure access," David assured her. "And if you choose, assign someone else later." Naomi felt taller when she stood to leave. Outside, the city buzzed with life. Cars honked. People rushed past. Naomi paused, uncertain where to go next. She found a bench near a park and sat, suitcase beside her. The envelope stayed closed. She knew its contents by heart. What hurt most was not the money. It was realizing when love became liability. Her phone buzzed. Naomi stared ahead before checking it. Lucas's name filled the screen. She let it ring. A message followed. "Mom, where are you? Please call me." She did not respond. Another message arrived from Claire. "Your room is empty. You're scaring the kids. This is unfair." Naomi read it twice. The children had avoided her for weeks. This was not fear. It was panic. Good, she thought calmly. Panic meant loss of control. Naomi closed the messages and slipped the phone into her pocket. She owed no explanations. Some silences were necessary. David had given Naomi a business card with another name written on it. "You should speak to her," he said. "A lawyer." The office was 6 blocks away. Naomi walked slowly, suitcase rolling behind her. The receptionist looked up. "Do you have an appointment?" "No," Naomi said. "But David from Fairmont sent me." Moments later, a woman in her 40s appeared. "Mrs. Keller, I'm Elise Moore," she said warmly. "Come in." Elise reviewed the documents carefully. Her expression hardened. "This is elder financial abuse," she said plainly. Naomi did not flinch. She had already accepted that truth. They spoke for nearly 2 hours. Elise explained options, protections, and rights. Words like fraud and exploitation filled the room. Naomi listened quietly. "I'm not ready for court," she admitted. "But I want safety." Elise nodded. "We can do that." Naomi requested a new will, revised authority, and complete financial separation. "Who do you trust?" Elise asked. Naomi thought of her niece Helen, who sent birthday cards every year. "Her," Naomi said. Elise smiled. "Good choice." Documents were drafted. It cooled beside them. The office smelled faintly of lavender. Naomi felt steadier, grounded again. When Naomi left the office, her phone showed missed calls and voicemails. She turned it off. Let them wait. Let them feel uncertainty. The sun dipped low as she walked toward the train station. She was not hungry, but something sharp lived in her chest. Readiness, perhaps. Sitting on a bench, she opened her bag for a sweater and felt another envelope. She did not remember packing it. Inside were property records, loan applications, a refinance agreement on her old cottage, dated weeks after she moved. Naomi's breath caught. The house had not been sold once. It had been leveraged twice. Naomi studied the papers carefully. Lucas had used her name to extract equity after the sale, claiming she still owned the property. The realization settled heavily, but it did not break her. She folded the documents and returned them to the envelope. This was bigger than hurt feelings. This was calculated. The wind stirred fallen leaves around her feet. Naomi pulled her coat tighter. She did not know where she would sleep that night, but she knew something else. She was no longer disappearing. She had stepped into her life again, firmly. Control was not love. Silence was not care. And she would never confuse them again. The train station clock ticked loudly above Naomi's head. She sat quietly, watching people rush past, unaware of the quiet reckoning unfolding nearby. Her phone remained off. That choice felt powerful. Tomorrow would bring conversations, consequences, and resistance. But tonight belonged to her. She stood, lifted her suitcase, and walked toward the ticket counter. "1 ticket," she said calmly, choosing a destination at random. Movement mattered more than certainty. As the train doors opened, Naomi felt lighter. Not because things were resolved, but because she had chosen herself. Some endings were not tragic. Some were awakenings disguised as loss. The train pulled away smoothly, carrying Naomi through neighborhoods she barely recognized anymore. She watched buildings thin into quieter streets. Across from her, a woman spoke softly on the phone. "I'll be home soon," she said. Naomi looked away. Home was a word she needed to redefine. When the conductor passed, Naomi asked, "Is there a stop near Pine Street?" "Next one," he replied kindly. She thanked him and gathered her suitcase. Movement calmed her. She wasn't running now. She was repositioning. Whatever waited ahead would be faced standing, not shrinking. That alone felt like victory tonight. Naomi rented a small room above a bakery near Pine Street. The owner, Mrs. Alvarez, showed her inside. "You can pay weekly," she said. "No rush." Naomi nodded gratefully. The room smelled of bread and cleaning soap. That night, Naomi slept deeply. In the morning, she woke to her phone buzzing. She turned it on carefully. 5 messages from Lucas. 2 from Claire. 1 voicemail. She listened to none. Instead, she made tea and sat by the window. Control did not mean cruelty. Meant boundaries. Today, she would decide when and how to speak. That power steadied her breathing. Later that morning, Naomi called Helen. "Aunt Naomi." Helen answered, surprised. Naomi smiled softly. "I need your help," she said. Helen didn't hesitate. "Whatever you need." Naomi explained carefully. Choosing facts over emotion. Forged documents. Money moved. Plans made without consent. Helen listened quietly, then said, "I'm proud of you for leaving." The words landed gently. Naomi felt tears threaten, but she steadied herself. "I'd like you to be my power of attorney," Naomi said. Helen agreed immediately. "I'll fly out if you want." Naomi declined. "Not yet. Just knowing you're there is enough." By afternoon, Elise called. "I've filed emergency protections," she said. "No further access is permitted." Naomi thanked her. "They may contact you," Elise warned. "Do not engage without me present." Naomi agreed. Moments later, Lucas called again. Naomi answered this time. "Mom, where are you?" he asked, breathless. "Safe," Naomi replied. "Why did you leave?" Silence stretched. "Why did you forge my signature?" she asked calmly. He stammered. "We were helping." Naomi ended the call. Helping never required secrecy. That conversation confirmed everything. She felt no satisfaction, only clarity. Clarity was enough. Claire tried next. "This is extreme," she said sharply. "You embarrassed us." Naomi answered evenly. "You planned to move me without consent." Claire scoffed. "You're confused." Naomi replied, "I'm informed." That ended it. Naomi blocked the number. Later, she walked to the bakery downstairs. Mrs. Alvarez handed her a warm roll. "On the house," she said. Naomi smiled. Small kindnesses mattered. She ate slowly, savoring warmth. That afternoon, Naomi visited a public library and signed up for a card. The librarian asked, "Address?" Naomi gave it proudly. For the first time in months, she belonged somewhere by choice. Days passed quietly. Naomi settled into routine. Morning walks, tea by the window, occasional calls with Helen. Elise handled legal matters efficiently. "They're unraveling," Elise said during one call. Accounts flagged. Questions raised. Naomi listened without pleasure. She did not want punishment. She wanted prevention. One afternoon, a letter arrived forwarded from Lucas's address. Naomi opened it carefully. "We're worried," it read. "Let's talk." Naomi folded it and set it aside. Words arrived only when consequences did. She no longer chased explanations. She conserved energy. Healing was not dramatic. It was repetitive, intentional. One evening, Naomi sat with Mrs. Alvarez on the back steps. "My son tried to sell my house once," the woman said quietly. Naomi looked up. "Did he succeed?" "No," Mrs. Alvarez replied. "I changed the locks." They shared a small laugh. Understanding passed between them. Naomi realized she was not alone in this story. Many women learned late. That didn't mean they learned too late. Later, Naomi received an email from Elise. "They're requesting mediation," it read. Naomi considered it carefully. Mediation meant accountability. She agreed on one condition. "No private meetings," she replied. "Everything documented." The mediation room was neutral and bright. Lucas sat stiffly. Claire avoided Naomi's eyes. Elise sat beside Naomi calmly. "We're here to resolve misunderstandings," the mediator began. Naomi spoke first. "There was no misunderstanding," she said. "There was fraud." Lucas flushed. "We were stressed," Claire snapped. Naomi looked at her steadily. "Stress doesn't erase consent." Silence followed. Elise presented documents. The forged signatures. The transfers. The draft facility application. The mediator leaned back, troubled. Lucas whispered, "We never meant harm." Naomi replied, "Intent doesn't cancel impact." Her voice did not shake. That surprised even her. The outcome was swift. Funds were returned. Accounts permanently separated. A formal warning issued. "Any future contact must go through counsel," Elise confirmed afterward. Naomi stepped outside into sunlight. She felt lighter. Not triumphant. Free. Lucas approached hesitantly. "Mom," he said. Naomi raised a hand. "I need time," she said. "Do not contact me again until I ask." He nodded, small now. Naomi walked away without looking back. That was not cruelty. That was self-preservation. Some relationships required distance to survive. Others did not survive at all. Naomi accepted both possibilities without bargaining anymore. Weeks later, Naomi moved into a modest apartment near the river. Helen helped manage finances remotely. "You're doing well," Helen said proudly. Naomi smiled. She filled the apartment slowly. One chair. One table. One blue cardigan folded neatly. She hung a small painting she loved, without asking permission. At night, she slept with the windows open. Silence no longer frightened her. It felt earned. One afternoon, Naomi passed a care facility while walking. She paused, then continued on. That path no longer belonged to her. Choice had returned. And with it, dignity. Naomi volunteered at the library twice a week, helping children read. "You're patient," one teacher said. Naomi nodded. Patience had always been hers. Now it was offered freely, not extracted. Occasionally, thoughts of Lucas surfaced. She did not suppress them. She simply did not act on them. Healing did not require erasure. It required boundaries. One evening Helen called. "I'm visiting next month," she said. Naomi smiled broadly. "I'll cook." "I thought you hated cooking," Helen laughed. Naomi chuckled. "I hated cooking where I wasn't wanted." That truth felt clean and settled. A letter arrived from Lucas months later. Naomi read it carefully. Apologies filled the page. Explanations. Regret. She folded it gently. She did not respond immediately. Forgiveness was not owed on demand. It grew when trust was rebuilt consistently. Naomi placed the letter in a drawer. That was enough for now. She spent the afternoon planting herbs on her windowsill. Basil, mint, rosemary. Living things thrived under steady care. That felt symbolic. Naomi watered them and whispered softly, "We'll see." It was not rejection. It was honesty. On her birthday, Naomi received a card from Helen and a separate one from Mrs. Alvarez. The messages were simple. "Glad you're here." Naomi held them close. She cooked herself a small meal and set the table neatly. No rush. No interruption. Later, she looked at her reflection in the window. Older, yes, but not invisible. She had been mistaken for fragile. She was resilient. That distinction mattered. When the phone rang that evening, she let it go to voicemail. Choice remained hers. That was the gift she gave herself this year. As autumn deepened, Naomi walked along the river daily. Leaves gathered at her feet. She thought often about how easily care became control when silence replaced conversation. She promised herself never to stay quiet again when something felt wrong. One afternoon, a woman on the path asked, "Is the water always this calm?" Naomi smiled. "Only after storms pass." The woman nodded, understanding something unspoken. Naomi continued walking. Peace was not the absence of pain. It was the presence of agency. She carried that truth like a compass now, steady and reliable. Elise invited Naomi for coffee one morning. "I wanted to check in," she said. Naomi thanked her sincerely. "You didn't just protect my money," Naomi said. "You protected my voice." Elise smiled. "You used it," she replied. Naomi reflected on that later. She had spoken when it mattered most. That knowledge settled deeply. Back home, Naomi organized her papers carefully. Everything labeled. Everything transparent. She laughed softly at herself. Order felt different now. It was not about control. It was about clarity. She no longer feared paperwork. She understood it. That understanding was power. Winter arrived quietly. Naomi knitted scarves and gave them away. "You're generous," a neighbor said. Naomi shrugged. "I have enough." That was new. Enough space. Enough choice. Enough peace. One evening, she received a short text from Lucas. "I hope you're well." Naomi stared at it for a moment, then replied, "I am." Nothing more. Nothing less. That was truthful. She turned the phone off and returned to her knitting. The scarf grew steadily beneath her fingers. Progress was not rushed. It was consistent. That suited her now. Helen visited in spring. They walked the river together. "You seem lighter," Helen said. Naomi nodded. "I stopped carrying what wasn't mine." They sat on a bench and watched birds skim the water. Helen asked gently, "Do you think you'll reconcile?" Naomi considered it. "Maybe someday," she said. "But only if respect leads." Helen squeezed her hand. That answer felt complete. They spent the afternoon laughing and sharing memories. Not all histories needed repair. Some needed reframing. Naomi felt grateful for companionship that didn't demand sacrifice. Later that year, Naomi donated a small amount to a local elder advocacy group. The coordinator thanked her warmly. "Why yes," she asked. Naomi replied, "Because silence nearly cost me everything." She didn't share details. She didn't need to. Awareness was enough. Naomi continued volunteering, walking, choosing. Her life was smaller now but fuller. Fewer rooms. More intention. One evening, she opened the drawer containing Lucas's letter and read it again. The pain was duller. Time had done its work. Naomi returned the letter to the drawer. Some chapters remained closed without bitterness. On a quiet afternoon, Naomi sat by the window with tea. Sunlight warmed the floor. She thought of the night she left barefoot, carrying fear and resolve. That woman felt distant now. Not erased. Integrated. Growth did not mean forgetting. It meant learning without self-punishment. Naomi whispered softly, "I did right." The words settled comfortably. Outside, children laughed somewhere nearby. Life continued without asking permission. Naomi smiled. She was part of it again. Not as a burden. Not as an account. But as herself. That identity no longer required validation. Simply existed. Naomi closed the window as evening approached. She prepared dinner and set the table for one. The quiet felt companionable. Somewhere, consequences were still unfolding, but they no longer defined her. She had reclaimed her name, her choices, her future. Before bed, Naomi wrote a short note in her journal. "I left to save myself." She underlined it once. Some departures were not failures. They were acts of survival. As she turned off the light, Naomi felt no fear of tomorrow. Whatever came next would be met awake, aware and standing. That was enough.